Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to more Final Fantasy X-2 last mission, and we finally got into the 20s, and the look of the tower is different. The interior looks a little bit different now. So, cool stuff. And in this part we're going to head up to level 30. I've decided to make a longer video to kind of keep things a bit more kind of tight, because what's going to happen is there's only, the next cutscene is obviously 10 levels away. So instead of having a part that has completely, exclusively just flaws in it, we're just battling and all that kind of stuff, I thought I'd try to make sure at least every part had one cutscene to it, so at least there was something to watch and discuss other than this stuff. So, I mean, in terms of the flaws, most of what you're going to see is going to start to get repetitive and fairly similar, and there's not too much I can do about that. I mean, the enemies change, but mostly what happens is just they get slightly better, they just get more HP, and their attacks hit harder really. Outside of that, there's not really too much different until you start to get a little bit even more deeper into the tower. But this is one of my favourite drops, the dressmaker. I think it's a brilliant idea. The fact that you can synthesize any dress sphere of your choice, that's amazing. And obviously for combining, it's always helpful, because you can just make, whichever one's your strongest dress sphere, you can just make another one and keep fusing it together for more and more levels, so it helps the Dark Knight climb even further, which is nice. There we go. I do love the gun mage, but they've balanced it out. Obviously, it's to be expected from a design point of view. Any dress sphere that has a long attack range, obviously it has to have a a little amount of HP, otherwise it's going to be broken. So, in that sense, I think it was a clever move. But it's very frustrating because I didn't get many chances to level up the ones with long range, so they were always stuck at level 1 or 2 for a very long time. And that meant that I couldn't really use them very often, because especially when you come up against a fiend that uses magic, I mean, even though you have long range, they have exactly the same range that you do, so you're always one magic attack away from dying. So you're going to see that right now. So I underestimate the blue flan here, and he takes me out one hit. But I had that hope memoir thing, which kept me alive, but as you can see, it's really difficult to use these low HP dress spheres when you're out in the field. But thankfully this is when I figured out that you can let the HP drain nicely. Just using circle and select, you don't have to run around like an idiot, so... But I mean, you can see how much HP they have, it takes an absolute age. So, hit and run and waiting for poison damage, it will get you through eventually, but it takes a very long time. And obviously in that time you can have more enemies spawning as well, so it's not the best tactic to use, but there you go. Okay, onward I go. I really wanted to keep the dress sphere around for longer, but I think in the end I keep having to resort back to Dark Knight as much as I don't want to. But the fact that you can miss, I mean, it's really frustrating. Sometimes you get really massive enemies and you're using a gun type, but you still miss. It just doesn't make sense. But having Dark Touch is also nice. It gives you a little bit of an extra layer of protection in this kind of situation. But you can see it's still obviously not foolproof, and I'm still 1 or 2 hits away from death all the times. So it's a risky game. The mini Machiners are quite tough as well, and as far as I know, Doom doesn't work on those guys, so they're immune to Doom, which makes life difficult. So I decided to run from them after I found out that they were quite tough. I mean, I tend to go through a phase of, sometimes I'll whiz through 2 or 3 levels. So, I mean, let's say from 20 to 23 will only take me a matter of 3 minutes, but then I'll get to 1 level and I'll spend 10-15 minutes there to get through. So that's the kind of pattern that I was finding. I think one of the things that I've liked most about this whole last mission thing is just is the roller coaster effect that I've noticed of of kind of building up and then being toppled down again. So you build up really nice auto abilities, and you got all, you've got your nice dress spheres and abilities, and you're making good progress. And then suddenly you'll corner yourself, and you'll run into a situation where you'll kind of lose some stuff, and then you'll have to survive because you won't have the really nice. Oh my god. Yeah. So the point here is, the reason why I kept this little bit in there is to show you that having a black mage doesn't increase your magic defense by very much. It still takes a lot of damage, unfortunately. So that's one thing that I was a bit disappointed by. I thought the black mage would have very good magic defense, but they don't, so it doesn't always go the way you'd expect it with that kind of stuff, unfortunately. But yeah, like I was saying, roller coaster effect. So I like it best when my resources are really limited and I have to really plan my moves carefully to survive. I find that quite fun, that whole challenge. But later on, as you get, after you get to a stage where your items and your dress spheres are good enough that the risk of you dying is pretty low, then it starts to lose its charm a little bit, and it starts to get more and more repetitive because it gets easier but it takes longer. So there's that kind of side to it, unfortunately. The fleeing manual has saved my life on more than one occasion. It just allows you to teleport straight to where the elevator is. So if you're in a situation again when you're cornered and you're far from the elevator, you can use one of those to get you out of jail, as it were. So yeah, that's the roller coaster effect. It's more prevalent, I'd say, between levels 1 to 30. After about 30, you've pretty much got all of your stuff together. Your dress spheres are quite high level by then, and you've figured out the game enough to. It's less about survival and more about grinding out the floors after that. So. But levels 1 to 30 were definitely interesting, because it was just so different. But I mean, you can see there's darkness and it still hits you fairly often, and it has so much HP. It just turns into a grind fest. It really does. As a floor 61, I only ever picked up stuff for fire protection and for ice protection, so I never got any lightning protection or thunder protection or water protection, unfortunately. And they're ones that's used quite often later on, unfortunately, so I don't know if they exist. I hope they do, but
this feels nice and evil.
Not having lightning protection was not ideal. And you can see there, got lucky once again picking up a level 2 Dark Knight. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Honestly, I have no idea why the Dark Knight was favoured so much. It's got to be pure luck, surely. Decided to use 2 dice just for the hell of it. Doesn't really do much damage. 35 damage. It's only about 1.5 times what I normally do, so it's not that great. That was silly. That takes away 50% of Riku's HP, so because Riku herself had basically no HP left, it did 2 HP damage. At least it took me to the room I needed to go. But if you're in, this is what I mean. So I speed things up here just to show you guys what I ended up doing. Ended up trying to fuse together some stuff. But I mean, the worst is when you find yourself in a room where you've got like 3 or 4 flats, and because they all have such long range, it's really difficult to escape them. So either you have to try and take them all out at once somehow, or you've got to silence them or something like that. So it's very tough. And once they're onto you, they do not leave you alone until you exit that room. But I managed to make it out safely from that hairy situation. And obviously we find ourselves on another floor that has some requirements to unlock the elevator. What are those requirements? Let's have a look. Okay, perform an action, use an ability. I'm pretty sure everyone's going to end up doing that at some point. Defeat 8 fiends and throw any 2 items. So dropping is not good enough, you've got to throw them. That's what I was showing in the previous one, because I wasn't sure if drop and throw were 2 separate things. It definitely is, so throwing something is not the same as dropping it, unfortunately. Anyway, you've got a lava type fiend. Obviously for my Final Fantasy X I'm expecting it to use thunder based attacks, and I also really want the 2 books in here, but it's that thing, do you stick it out and try to defeat these 2 fiends, or do you just give up on them and run away? I wasn't sure. Decided to go the slightly cheaper Doom route instead. But let's see what lava can do. So the Parika can use Doom as well, and as far as I know this only applies when you're inside the same room. So if you leave the room under which you have Doom, then you can stop it from happening. But if you stick around in the same room for too long, you will die. And to be honest, I'm not sure if what happens is you lose that current dress sphere. It probably is. I doubt you just completely die and you have to go back to the beginning. I highly doubt that. But Doom is something that you want to be careful of. But if I'm honest, the rooms are so small that 9 times out of 10 you can always escape the room and not have any more problems. I really want to fuse that that Dark Knight. But you can see I'm level 16, I have a fairly high level Dark Knight, and I'm still only doing 17, 18 damage on floor 25. It's just such a long slog. Right. So you can guess what I did next after I got this. Got myself a level 7 Dark Knight, which I was very happy with. Find secret rooms. Okay, this was I used this a couple of times. One time I got a room full of just rocks that I had to take out in order to get back out, and they gave me like 1 item as a result. It was like an ether or a turbo ether. So that's
this feels nice and evil.
So that secret room was useless, and the second secret room I got was a room full of fiends that had like no items. So I used it twice, and both times it really wasn't anything cool. So. But you saw a fleeing manual in action there as well, and from here on it was pretty much just grinding out and trying to defeat those 8 fiends. Honestly, the fact that the gun mage can miss there is just stupid. Twice. That is so silly. I mean, I kept trying to make use of the other dress spheres, but I just couldn't do it.
This feels nice and
it was just too difficult. I mean, can you imagine if I upload an unedited version of this? I don't imagine anyone would want to watch that. It's certainly a lot more fun to play than it is to watch, I would say, unfortunately for you guys. But if you are sticking around, hope you're enjoying it anyway. I'm doing my best here because it's really difficult to commentate on. So there you go, I threw some stuff and unlocked one of the barriers, and all that remains is to just to take out a few more fiends. It's nice when you have a room full of fiends because you can use some abilities like Black Sky or Psychic Bomb, and that can take out enemies very quickly. So that can help you meet the requirement of like 8 fiends, 10 fiends, whatever it is. And as you can see, I've got berserked, so these guys can berserk you, and what that means is every single turn obviously you will attack. You can still control which way you move, but it will always unleash an attack. So it always moves towards an enemy and attacks if you don't do anything. And obviously after a little while it will run out. But yeah, that was pretty much it. So I threw my second item and then it unlocked. So that was all there is to it. Once you know the unlock conditions, honestly, it makes life so much easier. Not difficult at all. Okay, let's do some Q&A. I had someone ask me a question in one of the previous videos, so I could take a look at that. What was the question? The question was, okay, are you going to have time to finish all of Final Fantasy X-2 before you move? The answer to that is probably going to be no, which is going to cause me a lot of problems because honestly, especially looking into the future, this is the only thing that I need my PS3 for. So I feel like at the moment, as of recording this, I have like a week left, and what's going to get left out is probably the Via Infinito. I'm not going to be able to finish it because it's going to take time to level up to very high levels and to take all those guys out. So it's looking like a no, and honestly I don't know when I can finish the Via Infinito, if I'm honest. It's going to be difficult because my PS3 is so... I have a fat style one, so it's very big and it's very heavy, and because I'm trying to transport to Turkey as much stuff as possible, it's going to be hard to pack that in as well. I think I'll take my PS4 for future exclusive releases and leave my PS3 behind. So probably the best I can do is probably loan a PS3 from someone and see if I can just get the save from there and just and get going and just complete the Via Infinito. But we'll have to see what happens. I'm going to focus on getting Last Mission uploaded, and that'll probably be it for Final Fantasy X-2 for the time being. So that's that stuff. What else we got? Okay, I have a question about what are my thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog. Honestly, I was always, the first console I ever got was a PlayStation 1, and the only consoles I've ever had are PlayStations, so never really played Sonic the Hedgehog. Obviously I know of Sonic the Hedgehog. I think I've played little bits and pieces before on like Game Boy and maybe something like that, I don't know, but honestly I do not know anything about Sonic the Hedgehog. Never particularly interested me. The most interesting thing about Sonic the Hedgehog I think I came across was a game theory video where they discussed how fast Sonic actually ran, but I think other than that, not really. So unfortunately I'm not a fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog series, and I doubt I probably will be at any point in the future. So yeah, that's that. Another question, would you like to see Final Fantasy XII HD Remaster? Yes, definitely would. Definitely would like to see that, because I think the Final Fantasy X Remaster was a great success. It packed a lot of content into a fairly cheap package, and from Final Fantasy XII, even though I've never completed it, which is another reason I'd like to see the HD Remaster, it would be an excuse for me to complete the game as well. I think there's something called International Zodiac Job System, something I've seen videos with that title around, and I guess they could make that available for everyone, because as far as I know at the moment it's just it was originally for Japanese or something like that, like an international version thing. So yeah, that would definitely, Final Fantasy XII HD Remaster would be very good. I'd love to see it. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure it's something that Square is thinking about, because they're probably looking at the numbers from Final Fantasy X and thinking, this is probably a good idea. We should do this. It's gonna make some bucks. But I guess it's ultimately up to them. They'll do their sums. If it's profitable for them, then I think they'll definitely go for it. And it's something that I would like to see. I was actually, when I was thinking about doing the movie version for Final Fantasy XII, I brought a copy, and I was going to just upscale it on my PS3 because I had a backwards compatible one, but I found that the one that I had kind of frame rate issues. It was like a NTSC versus PAL problem, and the upscaling process just didn't work at all, and it looked really ugly, so I decided to find 1080p emulated versions instead. So worst comes to worst, if Final Fantasy XII is never remastered, I can emulate it, and it looks pretty nice when you emulate it in 1080p, so I think that might be an option for me in the future if I ever want to play through X-2. Because it's funny, even though I pretty much know most of the story, because I made the movie version by cutting out the cutscenes from the walkthroughs that I used, I didn't play the game myself, so obviously in terms of the gameplay I know nothing, but story I have a general idea, because obviously I made the movie. So it's a bit of an interesting Final Fantasy in that regard. But yes, to an overall answer to the question, I would definitely love to see Final Fantasy X-2, that's for sure. X-2, 12, obviously, X-2 mode at the moment. Next question. Oh shit, evolutionary water. that gives you 3 levels at once. Just noticed. That is something you definitely need in your life. As you can see, I mean, through just combat alone, I really wasn't leveling up very much at all. It's these potions that really help me stay afloat. Yeah, the next question was, have you ever been to the US and do you ever plan to go? No, I have not been to the US. I have never been outside of Europe other than in Turkey. So the only time I've stepped on Asian soil is in the Asian side of Turkey when you go over the Bosphorus Bridge. So other than that, never been to Asia. So I've never been outside of Europe before, other than Turkey. I'd love to go to the US if I can. I have this thing about I'm not the best at travelling alone. If I do travel, I'd like to travel as like part of a group, either with family or friends or whatever. I don't like to just I couldn't be one of these backpacker people that just gets a rucksack and just goes all around the world. So for some reason I prefer company when I travel. So if an opportunity comes up, you know, whether it's through work, you know, obviously I want to get into the film game, and you know, the US is where it's at. If opportunities ever come up in the future where I can be in the US, then obviously I'd love to go. You know, there's a lot of places I'd love to see there. It's very diverse. Obviously it's a huge place. You know, all of those states, so many different geographical things to see. Obviously lots of amazing cities and cultures and all that kind of stuff, so definitely would love to see the US. Where would I go? I mean, obviously from what I've seen, you know, in movies and what other people have told me and my general kind of presumptions, I would probably prefer to go to New York first rather than LA. I mean, LA doesn't really seem that appealing to me for some reason. I don't know why. I prefer the city stuff. I think New York would be pretty cool to see, but that's probably where I'd like to go first. San Francisco looks really cool. I'd like to check out San Francisco if I can as well. But other than those two kind of main places, I really wouldn't mind anywhere just kind of road tripping. I'd love the idea of road trips. I would not mind like an east to west massive road trip type thing. That would be pretty cool. If anyone's ever done a road trip of the US, do let me know, because I'd love to know what people think of doing something like that. It sounds really cool. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the US. If I ever do go to the US, that would be very cool. And the last question is also a good one. These are all from the same person, by the way, other than the first one about can you complete Final Fantasy X-2. They're all from the same person, so thank you for sending these in. Gives me something to talk about while you guys watch me take on flaws. He's asked, would you ever consider doing a movie version of an anime-like series, so one that has, you know, that kind of art style? And he talked about the Tales of games. I've never actually played the Tales of games. People tell me that they're good, Tales of Symphonia and all this kind of stuff. I've never played them before, but I hear they're pretty good. But it's funny he should ask that, because one game that I actually have stuff recorded for that I've never released is Ni no Kuni. I played that game last summer. I was actually helping a cousin of mine to try and improve her English, and I thought maybe like if we played an English video game that would help, because a lot of people through video games they improve their language skills, whether it be English or maybe Japanese and that kind of stuff. So I thought if we play that together, it might improve. So I got into Ni no Kuni through that, and obviously I like kind of Studio Ghibli type stuff anyway. I thought that would be a good thing. And after I kind of played through with her for a little bit, we kind of gave up after not too long. But I wanted to continue the game myself, so I borrowed it off her, and I continued to play it, and I decided to make a movie version for it because it was quite, it had a lot of cutscene to it, and it was quite a story-based game. And what I did was, I think I have about 9 hours worth of the game recorded, and I was making some decent progress. And what I wanted with that series was to have everything pre-recorded and just work on it once the recording was already done. So that's why I kind of had a backlog of 9 hours recorded. But then disaster struck. It clashed at the time when I got the red light of death on my PS3. Yellow light of death actually, not red light. So yeah, so my save files were stuck inside that dead PS3, and there was nothing I could do about it. So after I lost my save file, that kind of got stuck. So even though I actually started recording for Ni no Kuni a year ago, I haven't recorded anything new for it in well over 6 months. So unfortunately that's one that got stuck. So maybe some point in the future when I have nothing to record, I might go back to that and just catch up the old save that I had and just see if I can upload a movie version for it. We'll see. Because I did have plenty of stuff recorded for it, but it didn't work out in the end. So yes, I did try to do it with Ni no Kuni, but I haven't done it for any other game, and it's something that I might look into in the future. I mean, if there is an anime type game that has a really cool story and is worth doing, then definitely it's well worth giving it a go. So yeah, those are the questions that I got. Back to floor, whichever floor I'm on. I guess it's floor 30. Yeah, wasn't really paying attention. Drink any 2 potions. Okay, makes sense. This one's nice and easy. Probably one that you could figure out yourself. And yet more Dark Knights. Almost into double digits. I was actually quite disappointed with Black Sky. It really wasn't doing as much damage as I wanted. I mean, for 80 HP, it's really not that good. Psychic Bomb is much better because it's only 12 MP, and also it's the magic stat that affects it. So it does. It's quite economical. You can do quite a lot of damage. So it's just me drinking some more potions and hitting up some more rocks. And that's why you do that. So sometimes they have goodies underneath them. So by destroying that rock, got myself 3 more levels. So in a short space of time I jumped up 6 levels. But then there was a massive slowdown again. Maybe the game knows when you've got too many evolutionary waters, so they stop you from getting too many more. Okay, so that's that done. We've moved forward another 10 levels, so it's time for another cutscene. And I think this one's a better one than the previous one, which didn't really give us too much, to be honest. This should be a good one.
What is it?
It's strange, don't you think? We're so far from Besaid, but the sunset looks the same.
Yeah, the same. Well, I guess you're right.
But even though it looks the same, it actually changes every day.
It does?
It's just something I've been thinking about recently.
So, you've been staying in Besaid?
Yeah, she has. She's totally gone back to her life before she joined the Gull Wings.
That's not true at all. Back then, I was only thinking of someone I had lost. I wanted a change from all that, so I left the island. I'm a different person now. I don't feel like I need to keep busy anymore. I'm fine with staying in one place and taking it easy.
That sounds relaxing.
I did meet someone.
Ooh, did you hear that? Uni's got a guy paying. Well, come on. Tell us about him. Tell us, please.
What? It's no big deal.
Come on, give us something.
Uni!
What?
Tell us, Yuna.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, so now I get it. That's why you never come when I ask you to.
You're not jealous, are you?
No, I'm not. Okay, maybe just a little. But if he's back too, why are you just spending all your time on Besaid, Uni? You could go on an airship cruise around the world or something.
Maybe someday. I don't want to rush into anything just now.
Until you figure out what you want to do, right?
No, that's not quite it. I don't feel like I need to find something. I can't really explain it. But you know what I mean, don't you?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, not in the least.
Oh, I don't get it either. But I guess you better start thinking about things seriously from now on.
Maybe you're right.
I suppose it would be stranger if nothing at all had changed.
So, first things first, what a cracking location. This place is absolutely beautiful. I'm very surprised by how beautiful this place looks. It's like an ancient temple. And who is this this woman here with the angel wings? It's almost like an ancient summoner or something. I find that very cool. This is a brilliant location. Really like it. Let me see what happens if you... Oh yes, so if you walk to the end you get like a nice little glamour shot here. Absolute genius. This is the best thing they've done so far in the last mission. Love it. But it was really interesting when Yuna said I met someone, the reaction was almost as if she met a new guy, and I was like, hold on, what the fuck happened to Titus? And then when Riku said, but he's back too, it was like, oh okay, so we are talking about Titus. So even though they saw the reunion, I'm not sure why Riku reacted like that. It was a little bit weird, but I mean obviously with all of this kind of sunset nonsense that she was talking about at the beginning, she sounds like she's just been spending her time smoking pot with Titus and Waka on Besaid, from what I can tell, with her laid back style and her weird conversations about sunsets. But she seems to have like a longing within her about, you know, okay, she's done it all now, she's saved the world, she's got Titus back even though she never thought she would, she's happy where she is and she just wants to keep being happy, but it seems like a part of her just still wants more. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see more in the next part. I'll see you guys soon.